Hello guys and welcome to Dee's Media World. Today I'll be talking about episode 3 in Stephen Bomb 3, Onion Friend. So if I had to sum this episode up in probably one word, it would be weird. But at the same time, while it was weird, I thought it was actually a sweet episode in some respects, particularly with Amethyst. I think because the show is called Steven Universe, they have to focus a lot on Steven as well. So they kind of divided this episode in half between what Steven was doing with Onion, but also what was going on with Amethyst and her friend Amedelia and her confiding in her friend. So this episode begins with Steven, being Steven, making some food, just enjoying life. And then Onion comes and steals his bags of chips for no reason, just cuz. and Steven follows him to see that there is all these paintings, a variety of paintings of Amethyst in there, and it's kind of creepy. And I actually was fooled because I really thought it was Onion who did that, but we find out it's Vidalia, Onion's mom, Onion and Sour Cream's mom, and she's like an artist, and that her and Amethyst go way back to when I think Amethyst was a kid, however many, probably before Steven was born, when Rose Quartz was probably alive, and they hang out and they kind of catch up, and they haven't seen each other in so long. My only nitpick about that is that, correct me if I'm wrong, but Onion didn't run that far to get to his house from Steven's house. So, like, this whole we haven't seen each other in forever, I don't know what you're up to, seemed kind of strange because they seem to live pretty close by. But I guess that goes tributes to how, in real life people lose contact with each other. But that normally has to do with distance. But in any case, Vidalia, she's married, has two sons, so she's kind of a middle-aged mom kind of character. Even the way she's designed, I really like her design. Kind of gives you this cool mom kind of feel, but she's not quite as young as she used to be, and it seems really nice. The heart of this episode really is Amethyst confiding in Vidalia because, of course, the Pearl and Garnet situation is still going on. So much so that those two aren't even in the episode. They are mentioned, but they physically are not there. And I think that is the first time in the show so far that that's ever happened. I don't think there's been an episode where at least one of the two of them were in an episode. That's so odd to me. But it actually kind of makes sense and comes full circle because in yesterday's episode, we actually only see Amethyst. She didn't have any speaking lines, and she was comforting Pearl. Whereas in this episode, we're seeing sort of what Amethyst is going through and her feeling to talk to somebody, because somebody, maybe just, sometimes you need to talk to someone who's outside your circle to give you a perspective that you might not have seen before. And I really liked that. I thought it was really sweet. How it's really sad too that Amethyst is so like distraught about everything that's been going on and feels so sad. I mean, she's usually the energetic character, the one who's always having a good time, always finding some way to get over something, and she can't move past this. And that was really endearing. I'm like, she really is growing as a character. The other part of this episode is Steven and Onion, and that's clearly the comedy side because Onion is still weird, and I think he just does it on purpose at this point. Like, he just does it to creep Steven out, and it's actually really amusing. The whole mouse thing at the end of the episode was probably one of the best endings of the show, I'll admit. That was hilarious. Probably the funniest joke in a while that I've seen from the show. Um, I did like, going back to I think Amethyst and Vidalia, I did like how unselfish Steven is. And we already knew he was unselfish, but to the point of like really loving and carrying these gems that he would put his own happiness aside for a moment. Like he's like, man, Onion is just too weird. I mean, especially after showing him the birth video, which was ridiculous. In fact, why would a child even have that like on tape with him is beyond me. But when Steven goes downstairs, it's like, man, I've had enough. It's time to go. He still decides to stay because Amethyst sort of needs this time to talk with adults. And this whole thing actually reminds me of childhood too, because I think everyone has had an experience where, your mom is hanging out with a friend or talking to a friend, and you're supposed to go hang out with a friend, their kid, even though you might not like them, or maybe you don't feel like playing with them or whatever. But your parents, it's really not about you. It's about what your guardian or your parent needs at that moment, which is to talk to an adult about what's going on. So I found that really good. I was like, that's very relatable. I mean, the show is great at being relatable. I really enjoyed this episode. It was a kind of a calm after the storm episode. Uh, the last two episodes have been very dramatic, and now this episode is kind of just a taking a breather and getting a little bit of comedy in there, but not forgetting the drama that also is going on. So, with that said, I can't wait to see tomorrow's episode, and I'll see you guys then.